technology technical tip. This session is how to include non-ANSYS data in an ANSYS project file. Sean Catlin is going to be doing the presentation. Sean, you have control.
All right. So what I'm going to show you today, and this could be a pretty useful little tip, is if you've ever wanted to create your ANSYS archive file and have the non-ANSYS data, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, images, really anything included in the archive file, or also probably the biggest one is a complete record of the CAD that you are using. This can be pretty useful. You know, many users have probably found that when you upload, say, an assembly file into the ANSYS, sometimes it doesn't bring all the piece parts or all the other related CAD files. There's a neat little trick here we can use to get a complete record of all that information in the archive file. So I've gone ahead, I've started up ANSYS Release 16, and this works the same really in any release since ANSYS 12. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save my project, and this is kind of the workflow I typically go through. And I'll just put this on the desktop to make it easy to find for this example. We'll just call this user files, and go ahead and save. So I now have a brand new fresh project, and if we look at the folder structure for the project, one of the things that gets created immediately if I go to this user files folder, and I actually must have picked the wrong folder, but that's okay. So if we go to the user files folder, the project folder, you'll see in here ANSYS automatically creates a folder in the project called user files. And this user underscore files, like I said, it's in every project you ever create. And you can put anything in here. So if I wanted to just go to my desktop and I want to find, let's say I've got you know, a PowerPoint or a PDF file I want to include. Here's one called user files. It's just nothing more than a little PDF file. It's got one slide. I can plop that into this folder. I can go to whatever my folder is. It contains my CAD files, and I can say, okay, I want this assembly, this Pro-E assembly, and these two parts, right? I can place those in here, right? So, like I say, you can put anything in this user files folder, and the beauty of it is, when you go back to the ANSYS project, you'll see that those files are now considered ANSYS objects, right? Here's that PDF file, here's the assembly file, the part file. So ANSYS real-time kind of queries that folder and says, hey, is there anything in here that I may be interested in? So if I wanted to use or consume any of this data, right, I can do that right from this location. So for example, if I want to now, let's say I want to import this assembly file into Space Claim, for example, right? So this user files folder, here's a path to the user files folder. I'm just going to steal that from here. Right, we can browse to that object. You know, I can use that for my import. So here's that chuck key that I had placed in that user files folder, and you can even see now ANSYS is smart enough to know that this chuck key assembly that's in user files folder is now being consumed by simulation or object A2 on the schematic, which is this geometry object. So if I go ahead and edit this thing in Space Claim, we can see what we've got. All right, and I'm not going to go through the whole process here in this quick little example of using this file, but I'll at least get you to a point where you can see how this is working and where these files end up inside of ANSYS. All right, so here's my Space Claim. There's my Creo file that was consumed from the user files folder. Go ahead and just bump out a Space Claim. All right, and you can see these things are both being used in A2, and ANSYS is keeping track of that. And the beauty of this now is if I go to the File menu, and let's say I save my data to my engineering knowledge repository, or I create an archive file, this stuff will automatically be there. So let's say I create an archive file. Of course, I didn't save, so we'll go ahead and save first. So when I create my archive, we'll also put this right on the desktop. This switch right here, the third one, items and user files folder. As long as this is on, then those files will be included in the ANSYS archive file. Right? So we'll go ahead and generate that archive file. And if we open that thing back up, let's go ahead and do that. Right? If I would decide to restore my archive, right? So I've got this user files folder archive that we just created. And I'm going to go ahead and open that, and we'll call this user files folder 2, just so we can create a brand new project from the archive file. And you can now see my current project up here in the top is user files 2, and in user files 2, here's those files, right? The PDF file, the part file. So automatic management of that data. Like I said, it goes right into the archive file. Also, if I would have done save to repository, it would automatically consume that data right into the Engineering Knowledge Manager. So that's the end of our tip for today.
So from a true advantage standpoint, Sean, if you are bringing a geometry in from a CAD system, once that geometry is in and you save your archive, if you don't save the file like that, that geometry in native format won't be in the archive, whereas when you do it like this, it'll all be enclosed all in one project file.
Yeah, the advantage is, as you'll see here in my files list, ANSYS knows it consumed this Chucky assembly. It doesn't know that this assembly file consumed these two parts. So this is the best way to get a complete record of the entire set of CAD data that was used by this project. And one of these things, the benefit to a user is at a later date, you don't have to go back to your PLM system and say, okay, what was that assembly or what was that version? When you open up your ANSYS archive file, it's all there. Right? You have a complete record of what was used to create that simulation. And vice versa, if you're in the Engineering Knowledge Manager, same thing there. You've got a complete record in the ANSYS Engineering Knowledge Manager of the CAD data that was used to produce that simulation.
Okay, great, great. Okay, good tip. Thank you, Sean. That's the tip for today. Goodbye.